Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to be joined with Jay with his movie, Piano Man. Let's take a look at the clip.
We've only been open 4 or 5 weeks. Nobody will be here. It'll be like old times. Remember that? When we first started? They're playing this tomorrow night.
I can't play that.
You wrote it.
I cannot play that.
Just take the pages with you. Maybe they call to you.
I can't. There's no way. It's been too long.
Too long? Right. Things like that do not apply to guys like you.
Guys like me.
Legends.
Jay, thanks so much for being here. Thank you for bringing your amazing film and welcome to New Filmmakers LA.
Thanks for having us. We're very excited to be here.
It was really special to see your film on the big screen, and thank you for bringing the Piano Man himself and other people as well. But for those that haven't seen your film, tell us a brief synopsis.
Yeah, it's about a sort of legendary jazz piano player who, because of a tragedy or a loss in his past, decides to sort of retreat into a place where he no longer plays live after having had this career that he was very well known and popular. This event in his past kind of causes him to retreat, and when we find him, he's taken on a job as a piano tuner, and so we've kind of followed him throughout the course of the day, going on these different appointments and meeting all these different sort of interesting characters. One of them being a sax player that he used to record with, who tries to convince him to kind of come out of his shell and sort of rejoin the world again.
I love watching a film where, and it's the way you wrote it, the way you shot it, but like, we were just instantly in the film. Like, I was instantly just curious by this character that you created, and you just wanted to know what his journey was, his history was, what he was going through, because it had this intriguing line all the way throughout. Where did the inspiration come for you, Jay, in creating this story and then deciding to turn it into a film?
They're sort of, I think they're kind of one and the same. On one hand, like, I can say that like the sort of direct inspiration where I thought about the idea was at this jazz bar called Sam First that we frequent on the west side. It's right up by LAX, and it's a great jazz spot. And we go there often. And I was there one night, and we were getting ready to watch a show, and I was just looking at the piano thinking like, oh, there's probably a guy comes in here, like cleans this place, and like there's probably somebody who tunes the piano. And I was like, what's that guy's life like? And sat through the show, and music is usually, I can't play music at all, but music's a huge inspiration for me. And so I sat there watching the show and watching the piano player, and my mind started wandering about what that character might be like and who he might be and why he doesn't, or if he doesn't play live anymore. And then went home that night and poured a generous whiskey and wrote the script.
Oh, I love it. That's like my dream right there. Pour a generous whiskey and then write a script. Amazing. That's amazing. And I love how, isn't it amazing when you're in a place, you're in this jazz bar, and all of a sudden you've suddenly got this inspiration and creativity to create a whole story. There were so many layers and complex, this story though. Everything from just, I think it was, nice to go into a journey of a character that wouldn't normally see. Like, that every piano needs tuning, but you don't often see the lives behind. You may see the pianist, but you never see the person that tunes the piano and not know their history.
Right.
But also just kind of rekindling your dreams or how moments in life can alter you to look back at what you did, or maybe, reimagine your life and if you brought this sort of talent back into your world. And so I love the way you articulated that in the film. Was really well led, really well acted. You had a great ensemble as well. How did you go about bringing the character and bringing your ensemble together?
Well, Patty Wilkins, who plays Piano Man, has been a close friend of mine for some time, and we've spent many mornings and afternoons and evenings talking about trying to find something to do. Patty has sort of rare talent where he doesn't have to really do a whole lot, and it still is really either funny or compelling. He has really good instincts, and he's a close friend of mine, and partially I wanted to make something just with people that I believe in myself and are close to me and that I can rely on and trust and love. And then it was just it's one of those sort of synergistic kind of things where I was like writing it and going, oh, Patty is perfect for this. Like, who do I know in my life that would fit this role? And I can't, his face popped into my head, and I couldn't get it out. And I was like, he's Piano Man, that's it. And and I knew that I could rely on him both to deliver as an actor and be there as a friend. And that I know I could call him up and he'd probably say yes.
Oh, good. That's always helpful too.
I was a little bit concerned at first when he first read it. I was like, oh no, maybe he doesn't like it. But he did. He loved it, and he was in from the beginning, and it kind of gelled around him in a lot of ways.
Well, I mean, two things you mentioned there. Firstly, it's always great to work with people that you care about, that you love. It makes life a lot easier when you're working with, when you've got that rapport with each other. But secondly, like, he had so many great, like you say, when he's not doing a lot, he's saying a lot. Like, he has so many great subtleties in the character and just what he was thinking or going through. Like, he was really clever at that. It was really, really great. In terms of working together as director to actor, how do you work with your actors? What kind of process did you do, particularly for this film?
Sure. Well, we were sort of talking about this last night at dinner after the screening, and the thing, again, part of reaching out to somebody like Patty Wilkins or some of the other characters or actors in the film, like Damian Washington or Earl Jan King, who I went to high school with them at the LaGuardia High School for Performing Arts in the city, and we were all sort of in the seminal culminating big play of the 4 years that you study in conservatory there. And I haven't really seen them since high school.
What?
And
really?
For like 20 years, it's been like 20, like quite a bit of time.
And one of the most famous high schools as well.
Yeah. So, I reached out to them, and I was like, I partially was about, okay, this is the first thing I've directed, and I studied acting when I was younger, and so there's something about the actors that I hired. I knew I could trust them. I wouldn't have to do a lot of work with them, and that I could focus a little bit more on sides of things that I didn't have that much experience with, or that maybe I didn't quite have so much vocabulary with, like the cinematography and things like that, and focus my attention a little bit more on that, knowing that, like, between Patty, Damian, and the other actors in our film, that I wasn't gonna have to do a lot of, we're gonna have to, this isn't working out, they're not getting it. I could just really rely on their natural ability to deliver. That said, I prepared sort of, for each scene I prepared about a page that was called a scene intention, and it was like, here's what this scene is about. Here's the intention behind it. Both like, here's what's happening sort of story-wise, but here's what's really going on underneath the story. Here's what's going on for the character. And I gave those to Patty for every day, I think, or may have given them in advance, so that for each scene he understood what we were after story-wise, and then also what we were after sort of soulfully, and what we were after for the character.
Yeah, that's really a good process that you got there. That obviously worked well for the film itself. What were some of the kind of challenges that you had making the film, or if there was any?
Let me first say that somehow this production worked out perfectly, and it was surprising.
It's amazing because you said it yesterday at the festival, and everyone was like, "What?" It was.
It's still surprising to me.
Yeah.
We shot over the course of 4 days and 8 locations, so we hustled, but somehow it was just, even like my DP or other people were just like, man, just seems like it's like some kind of a blessed shoot. It's just one of those blessed shoots where everything just seems to be moving not just smoothly and nothing's falling apart, but even more so we're gelling and we're getting some really beautiful, great stuff. And I think part of that was, again, the intention around the whole production was me just wanting to make something outside of the gears of the industry, where it wasn't going to be a whole bunch of people showing up to, punch a clock and get lunch, that it was going to be like, we all know each other. Some of us are related. Some of us went to high school together, but we haven't seen each other in 20 years. And so it became more of this sort of earnest thing about being together. And I love when this happens, when what the movie is about is also what the making of the movie is about. Like they begin to reflect each other, And so that was happening. And I think that is what led this to being just sort of one of those blessed shoots where nothing, logistically went wrong, or there weren't that many logistical kinds of challenges. I think what was challenging for me was sort of being a little bit vulnerable. I think production-wise, it was a little bit about like, okay, getting comfortable after 16 years in LA of reaching out to people and asking for a favor, knowing that like I've been asked for a lot of favors since I've been here, and that I would, feeling more comfortable with asking for what we wanted. And somehow, I think there's something about the script, there's something, the earnestness of it that people just related to and were attracted to. And so we got yeses like right away.
That's
from
amazing.
Everything we asked for, and I'd say in the end we got mostly yeses. And I think there was just something about the spirit of the people involved. That really
but I think that's credit to you, because I think obviously people wanted to work with you, and that always helps. And so I think this natural gel that you all had together, and you wanted the best for each other. I think that really stands a lot in the team that you bring in. So kudos to you. And I'm just curious, like, even though you had this idea that came through, was there a kind of a morality essence that you wanted your audience to take from your film?
Yeah. I think the beauty of real filmmaking or real, if we can call it that, real art making, is that it's not about you really at all. You really have to, I think if you want to make something good, if you want to make something great, it's just about being open and then letting whatever is wanting to come through, and then nurturing it and guiding it and helping it through. And so I like to try to stand out of the way a lot and leave a lot of room in the film or in the script for the audience to paint themselves into. And this way they get to invest in it. This way I'm not doing the work for them. And if they do a little bit of work, then they get, I think, a reward out of it.
Yeah.
And it ceases to be like a film by Jay Zaretsky starring Patty Wilkins, and it becomes like everybody's film, which is what it is. I was just sitting in a jazz club and just thinking, and something came in.
Yeah.
And instead of trying to grab it and control it and like muscle it through, you just kind of let it through. And so there wasn't really real big initial idea of like, I want to make a jazz film about grief or whatever. It wasn't like that at all. I was like, I don't know, I think I just have an idea for a story about a piano tuner.
Yeah.
And that was it. And so I hope the audience sort of takes away some empowerment and some sort of the sweetness and the gift of being able to realize that like look at the story and see like this is a story about themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it was your film had a very self-reflective attitude. Like I think you couldn't help watch your film and self-reflect, and for everyone in their worlds, or even people that they may know that have got great talent but maybe have gone a different direction, all that stuff. Just to kind of, what I love about you mentioned, because I think with the synergy that you had on set, almost like you need to have that when you're doing jazz. You know, you all have to feel each other's energy, their rhythm. You've all got an important part to play, and I think that really sits well with like how you gelled together as a production team as well. What is next for you, Jay?
Oh boy. Well, I just spent a month back in New York, and we had screened in New York several months ago, and it was a screening where I was like, I sat through it and I was like, okay, I would always thought about Piano Man as like where else it could go as far as like a longer story or longer form film. And I remember sitting in the screening, watching it, and really feeling like, okay, I can see that it feels like a feature, and it feels like there's more here, at least to explore. And so I sort of spent the last month in New York exploring that, and have come through with a first draft of the feature that expands on the character a little bit, expands on his story and his choices and his world. And so I'm excited to make that, like, the feature version.
Very
of Piano
exciting.
Man.
Yeah, no, it's very exciting. It's so nice when you see something and you get to experience what we will feel about it from a short form context, and then now we're in for the feature. That's very exciting. Well, listen, we very much love Piano Man. We're looking forward to Piano Man the feature, and we're ready for that one too. But thank you so much, Jay, for joining us, and welcome to New Filmmakers LA.
Thanks so much. It's been great being here. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jay,
Cheers.
everybody.